This one's for the culture. Me and wifey in the room thinking of a master plan, thinking how we can influence the culture from where we stand. Knowing that our steps are ordered by the master's hand, still 10 toes down, we ain't switching up the stance. The mission of this music ain't just to make them dance, trying to tell them about the rock.
And welcome to episode 68 of the Bond Chronicles. I am one of the hosts, Mr. Bond Chronicles, and I'm here with
Mrs. Bond Chronicles.
And we have an exciting show. I think you guys will have some fun with this. I think I'm going to have a little fun. We'll get a little serious, but ultimately we do want to keep it relatively light as there's a bunch of details that keep coming out, and I don't know what's real and what's not. But for those of you who don't know or who haven't been around, Nia Long's fiance, Ime Udoka,
Long-time boyfriend.
I think they're engaged.
Well, I know, but they've been together.
They got a kid and everything. So they've been together for quite some time. It was brought to really the public's eye when he was hired as their coach. And that, I guess, solidified at least for the men in the sports world. Like, oh, so this is where she's been and who she's been with. But yeah, he ran into some issues with, and again, I'll just report on what I've heard reported. And the facts will kind of play themselves out as this comes out. But apparently it's worse than anything we've heard from everybody that I keep hearing from. But professional environment, apparently the woman, and we don't know her name yet, but she used to plan the schedule. And she was like a traveling assistant, is now what is rumored to be the case. And not only did she plan his travel, she also planned Nia Long's travel.
Oh,
which is awkward, and to say the least, considering this happened months ago, and everyone was made aware months ago, except Nia Long.
So she's still probably been talking to this woman.
Yes,
I haven't heard
planning her travels, amongst other things. That's the rumor with this particular woman. So. It is also rumored she is married to someone
in the organization.
And it is also alleged that it was either a player that snitched or the husband found out through a Ring camera, is what we have reported so far. So a lot of different things, but just on its face with kind of those facts, what are your thoughts? Is this situation being overblown? Is this a big deal considering it was within the workplace and who he's engaged to? They got a kid. He hid it from her. They were planning on buying a house up here. Like, tell me your thoughts on all of this.
I mean, surface level, it's just messy. Just all the way around. Super, super, super messy. Shame. Like the woman walking through the alleys. Seriously, yeah, in Game of Thrones. Like, shame. That's what he deserves right now. Because at minimum, why couldn't you at least tell Nia what was coming?
Right.
Because he's known for a month or two at this point. Yeah. So she's out here house shopping, posting pictures, super excited. Meanwhile, this whole thing is about to like blow up in her face.
Correct.
Their faces, everyone's faces.
Yeah.
It's just messy, just super messy. And that's just to start off with. I don't know if this is a favorable opinion or not. But I don't like the fact that Ime is the only person being disciplined here. Yes, I get it. He was the person in charge. He is the supervisor, blah, blah, blah. He should have known better, blah, blah, blah. But as far as I can tell, or as far as we've heard so far, this particular relationship was consensual.
Mm-hmm.
And then she broke it off, I think, is what the rumor was.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started being a creep. Again, shame. I'm not excusing his behavior. But she's married. It's, by all accounts, that is what we've heard, that the woman in question is married. Like, she knew better herself. She was a married individual. I don't understand how Ime is the only person getting in trouble here. And then just, I hate how they're leaking some details, but then everything else is just shrouded in mystery and shame.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know all the parties involved at this point.
So, and the NBA is typically pretty good at this, and a great example of this was with Robert Sarver. There was a inquiry or report done, and guess what we got as soon as the report was done? All the information. And from there, there's been a groundswell to get him to sell his team. By all accounts, there was an investigation done by a third party, and they had their findings, and the Celtics came out with these punishment of the year suspension. I don't know if we covered that. The year suspension based on those findings, and it is alluded that they will eventually fire him. If you were to that point, I do believe you owe it to the fans, specifically of the team, with some kind of real explanation as to why your coach, who just led the team in his first year to a finals,
right? And that's the difficult. I mean,
it was up 2-1 in the finals.
Right. That's the difficult part. For me, as a basketball fan, the Celtics is my favorite team, but they're also one of the worst organizations as far as like racial everything. Just literally everything. So it's like, so that I may smash the white executive's wife, and maybe now she's pregnant. And now there's a bunch of craziness. Like, there's so many little details.
That would be something.
That would be important.
Yeah.
Because obviously they played a huge role in his disciplinary, actions. But then at the same time, it's like, one, how are you going to suspend me for a year? And then I guess at the end of that year, y'all decide how mad y'all still are at me. And then heap on more punishment. Bruh, if you don't want me to stick around, just fire me. But no. You can't, because everybody sees how I just and before he came, we were actually pretty bad. Like, it wasn't the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
How you just led this sorry team to a championship in the course of a year. Like, I don't know. It's irritating. Because obviously we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's messy. Like, I feel bad for Nia. Like, obviously in this situation, I feel the worst for her. At least whoever the executive or whoever it was, the other people in the Celtics organization, they've all had time to brace for this and prepare for the fallout of it. Like you said, she was blindsided, to be moving your whole life, transferring, your kid, and then all of that to get there and find out you've been up here losing your ever-loving mind. Bro, there are some words that I'm sure that Nia used that I won't repeat here on this family-friendly show.
Absolutely not.
But it's just crazy, the whole situation. And then at the same time, it's just like, is it being overblown or blown out of proportions? Meanwhile, obviously, we've had the Deshaun Watson thing going on in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
We've got who is it? Joe Malova, what's his name? The coach in the interim for the year, the one that they promoted.
Joe Masav or something.
Yeah, whatever his name is. He's apparently got assault and battery cases, domestic battery cases from when he was, like, I guess in college or something.
A long time ago.
I mean, he's 34. A long time. I mean, I get it, but still.
Okay.
I mean, I get it.
I agree. It's not the best look.
It looks terrible.
It's not the best look, but I think we've seen time and time again, these organizations don't always make the wisest decisions. So I'm going to push back a little bit, and I guess it's going to be odd for me to stand on this side of the discussion, but I get why she's not being punished. I think in these kind of scenarios where it is a subordinate to a superior, it almost always is a superior that takes the brunt of the
punishment. Yeah.
So that part I don't get. The part I don't like is they won't release her name. There is a consensual side here.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's one thing to not punish her. It is a whole nother thing for him to be the only one that has to stand up to all the questions.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
Whether if he did unwarranted messages, I need to hear that. I need at some point there to be another face besides just his, because he's not the only face in the situation. Now she can be, a defendant or the sympathetic victim here, but I do have a problem that her face is being hidden and protected when, by all accounts, this started off as a consensual situation. Now, if it changed, it changed, but you got to stand in the consensual part of this, and she's not being held to any kind of standard
or accountability.
As
far as we know, she still got her job. Yeah. I mean, but she's avoided all kinds of embarrassment.
Under the circumstances, she has to have a job. You can't fire her.
No, well, yeah, of course, because it's
a abusive,
resources,
unsafe
all
workplace.
That good stuff.
So I think that part will play out. But if they weren't going to release both names, they shouldn't have released anything.
No, I agree completely.
And we've seen a bunch of the NFL, the NBA, and organizations step all over stuff. We're still waiting to see all of them 100,000 emails with Washington.
Right.
All we got was a John Gruden leak, which if I was him, I'd be pissed. You got 100,000 emails, y'all just leaked mine. Yeah, what are we doing? So that part, I hope there's some kind of resolution here soon on whatever is to come or the next steps. But he ain't the only one that should be having to answer questions and have his history and everything else questioned and his livelihood potentially jeopardized. So
you think he'll get another job?
100%. Given what I've seen, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's gonna put like a no sleeping with
the
anybody Washington clause.
If he's free, Wes, I like you, bro. You're nice, but go get that guy.
I would be
just
so
hide your kids
if my
hide your wife.
If my coach came to DC, I'd be so glad. We were finally getting good.
I think this is posturing. This is overcompensating. And here's the other part to me that's kind of disturbing with the way they're handling it. Everybody that knows it would be in the know has made this very clear. This is super common. Like from owners to players to trainers, like the workplace environment. It's commonplace in sports, which I'm sure you got people traveling all the time. Mm-hmm. You got people around, y'all going out, y'all around each other in sensitive moments. That part's not surprising. The surprising piece is this overcorrection kind of thing. Like, I don't really understand why they've taken this stance. And maybe, like I said, they give us some more details. But based on what I've heard, ain't no way you should be suspended for a year because a side chick relationship went sideways.
But that's the thing. I'm glad you brought that point up. On surface, like, we keep thinking, okay, so they had an affair. It's frowned upon, but it's not super uncommon. But then when you hear people who actually know the details of said situation, they all are saying they're not at liberty to disclose any information. But if more information does come out, they understand the year suspension. The details or the, whatever, the intricacies of what's going on is enough that they support what the Celtics organization has decided to do. So again, it's just like, what the heck is happening over there?
Which, if I'm the Celtics and the groundswell is that way, what are we doing? Put the information out. You are supported by whatever apparently is out, unless somehow they're complicit. We saw this with Houston. Deshaun couldn't get them women to settle for it. A year and a half.
Right. And then
all of a sudden the Texans was going to get a lawsuit. Everybody settled.
Real quick.
So I don't know. I don't know who the woman is, what role or impact she has, but something don't smell right. And I ain't saying Ime wasn't wrong, because he was dead wrong. But
On a couple different levels, bro.
Oh yeah, on a lot of different levels. I will give you that 100%. I wish I had a disclaimer I could just play. Do not date athletes and entertainers.
Right. They all suck. And that's exactly what happened. They had been together all this time. He had been on great behavior. He was acting good. He was treating her nice. She was all in love. And then he get 2 seconds taste of fame. Literally. He ain't been in Boston. Like, they ain't even bought a house there yet.
It'll change you.
He been in Boston for 2 seconds and then already put his business in, apparently it sounds like a bunch of other people's business. And it's like, some people just can't handle greatness.
Or
he was out here wilding and got caught because he was being stupid.
Or he was doing what he saw everybody else do.
Bruh.
He's been around the league for a long time.
Well, then he chose the wrong somebody to do it with.
Apparently something went wrong.
No, it's the woman. That's why we won't find out her name. But I'm about to pay attention to all the little high-profile hush-hush divorces because somebody in that Celtics organization is getting ready to get divorced. And if we don't find out her name any other way, that's how we about to figure it out.
The internet's going
to find out.
They're going to figure it out. They're going to confirm it. Something going to leak. If it don't, then it was real bad. And then we...
No, that's what I'm saying. Oh, there's like a baby. You can't
I think that gets out. If nothing concrete comes out, it had to be something like criminal. There's the only way. There's nothing that's just civil or a workplace situation that is this bad.
Running like a prostitute ring.
I don't know.
The basement of the what's their arena called? The TD Garden.
Yeah, I don't. Something happened, and they got real ones shook to report on it.
And two, the teammate, the player on the team who snitched his coach out. Again,
if that story is true, it had to be Mark Smith.
We did think it's him.
There's the only person that makes sense. Everybody else had a good role. Yeah. Nobody else is getting benched in the upcoming year.
Maybe Jaylen Brown.
No,
you don't think so?
He's down to sports. Kanye would never.
Not Kanye. Not would like never.
This. Now he do the media games. He wouldn't do this.
He wouldn't do that. I don't know, man. But Marcus, if whoever it was, like, what a punk move! I couldn't think of a.
I mean, you play games with people.
Oh, what a punk move! And literally, like, if that's the truth, like, you were conference champions last year, and Vegas odds favorite to win the whole thing this year. Now, we know how that doesn't always work out, but to even be in that category where, and be from where they came from a few years ago, like, sometimes you just gotta look at the bigger picture, bro. Shut your mouth and get your ring.
You would think it was that simple,
bruh.
But
so that was a punk. Whoever did that, you're a punk. I hope you hear this.
Your boy J. Cole said, "Pride is the devil."
Pride is the devil, and it's got a hold on a lot of people, making a lot of people look real stupid and fumble serious bags. Because what? My coach is having an affair with. Ooh, I'm gonna snitch on him.
So childish.
I'm gonna feel better about myself now.
Middle and high school,
right?
Oh man, I just want to know the real story.
I need to know more details, y'all.
It's got to be good.
It's crazy.
But speaking of potentially punk moves, I was very curious to know how you think about this. DaBaby released an album this past weekend.
He did. I've perused it a little bit.
So I'll start with the album that I did not get all the way through it, but if you listen to the first song, you might have listened to the first 7. I have been a fan of his even through all the drama. I think he's super talented. I listened to a lot of the older music, and he was rapping with or better than a lot of your favorites. He's underrated, in my opinion, in that ability to rap because of his flow is just not gimmicky, but it's
no. Like his
something.
Like the rhythm that he uses, the way that he plays with his words, like No, he's lyrically, he's solid.
Mm-hmm.
But lyrical content is where he misses me. Like, I can't, like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was an album. It was very limited features. And I just think he's in an interesting place, maybe in his career right now. There's been rumors about him not being able to sell as many shows. He's obviously pushed back on that, and that was kind of hard to believe because I've seen his performances and they've all been really good from what I've saw. But the reason we're talking about this mainly is because there is a very provocative, explicit line, and I think it's the second or third song called Boogeyman, where he references having sex with Megan Da Stallion the night before the Tory Lanez incident, which we are still waiting for them to go to trial on.
Still.
I think it's been pushed to December.
Again.
The world's longest trial just keeps going. But obviously the internet was upset, feeling like a man should not be spilling these kind of details publicly. It's a very feminine thing to do. He said in the lyric in the song he was not planning to share this, but he did. And obviously him and Meg have had their issues over the past in relation to Tory.
Yeah.
He violated his probation and almost got locked up because DaBaby brought him out after the song he did with Meg at, I believe it was Rolling Loud.
Yeah.
So there's history here. And the reason I'm taking the shot and even relating to Meg's current boyfriend and using some not so flattering perspective of him. So is this in line? In rap, it's always men versus men or women versus women. Rarely in rap do you get a man doing this too, especially not a prominent woman. Just your thoughts on the whole situation.
I mean, I do think personally, I think it's messy anytime celebrities talk about, especially when they have these conversations and the other party is unaware that they're going to be sharing these intimate details. Mm-hmm. If we're not in a relationship, and even if we are in a relationship, if we haven't discussed discussing our business with the public, bro, keep your mouth shut. Because why? With the exception of for clout. So, period, like that within itself is super annoying. But DaBaby is messy, super messy, and he don't care about nobody but his pockets. Like, if there's anything that I have learned, about watching him maneuver through the media and just his life as an entertainer, is that he gonna make sure he stay paid. Everything else can fall by the wayside. Your feelings, what you think about him, or even what he raps about. Because this ain't the first time that he's, I believe, taking a swipe at somebody like that.
Definitely not.
And it's like, so do I believe it? No.
You don't.
I mean, because I'm just even trying to imagine the visual. Like, he doesn't even seem like somebody that Meg would.
Considering she was with Tory.
But even the whole Tory thing still don't make sense to me. Like, and that's why I'm still waiting to figure out what was going on. Like, I need for the case to close or, for them to go to trial so we can get some clarity on all of that. But no, I just don't. Sure.
So you think he came out and said this, got all this traction, it's a lie, and Megan's team is saying nothing?
I'm not saying that it's all of it is a lie. I'm feeling like it's an exaggeration, maybe, at best. But
so he comes off as a liar to you?
He comes off as he be saying wild stuff and don't think about the repercussions all the time.
But do it not be true? Is it an exaggeration? Or he just being reckless?
No, he be mad reckless in his lyrics.
So that's my point. So I look at this very different. One, I don't know how much money Meg's making because she got a bunch of lawsuits and stuff going on.
She does.
But she got to be paying some publicists a bunch of money.
She is.
Because she got to fight all the time in the media. You got a tour situation. You got a record label situation. Now you got a DaBaby situation. Like,
But no,
why is she always in drama? At some point, we got to look at the common theme here. And this is just the stuff that makes it to the news. Her history is maybe drinking a lot and stuff. There's some more stuff to it. Whether she's on Instagram twerking or what, it's just always something. And she seems to always be in the middle. And so for me, based on how I've seen her respond when stuff comes out that's unfavorable, that she believes she can spin or win, they spin or win it.
So you think it's true?
It's been radio silent from Meg. I think she was just on stage somewhere.
Where?
And she was talking about body positivity. I just seen it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it was an award show. Wherever she was just performing. And we saw when she did her pop-up, she performed at Coachella.
She did. We saw her at Coachella.
And she released Plan B, which was a diss track. So don't tell me she's not capable of refuting things. And the whole point was, I didn't actually listen to all of it, but the concept was like encouraging her about her body, and then it led into her song Body, which I'm not a big fan. But she's had a history of refuting stories that play in a negative light, and she said nothing.
This is true.
So I'm going to go with he's not lying.
So
I don't think he would just tell that blatant of a lie about her.
So you think she and DaBaby hooked up the night before?
And he said it wasn't just one time. So let's now start to play this out. The whole issue of the Tory situation was that Meg slept with Tory behind Kelsey's back.
Right. She stole Tory from Kelsey.
And then Tory apparently had moved on. So is it possible that at that point DaBaby was available around? They obviously had been in the studio a lot because they had made quite a few songs. They made some songs together, Meg and DaBaby. It ain't just one song. They got a couple. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do have quite a few songs together.
I know.
And they're featured on some songs together.
I know.
Interesting.
And for me, he fits the type. Him and Tory look and act pretty similar. They both are pretty reckless individuals that seem to be pretty true to it. And they have similar hairstyles, similar heights. I see a lot of similarities.
Okay. I mean, like, if you look at it that way, I don't know. But again, I guess it would be in line with all the messiness that is constantly surrounding her.
And that was my final point. Why, if this is true, reportedly she had drank a lot at the Kylie's party. But how do we get from I'm with DaBaby the night before till I'm going off like this the next day about you being with another woman, to the point that either Tory or Kelsey felt the need to fire a gun in a car in a super, super exclusive neighborhood? Something is going on here. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't disagree.
You can't be that mad when you was just with somebody the day before.
I mean, drunk you can be.
How?
You're drunk. All your emotions and everything are like over exaggerated when you're drunk.
Okay. I mean, I'll take your word for it. This is kind of like that song where I was like, people can't really talk to themselves like that, talk to each other. And you was like, nah, they do. And then the world was like, yeah, we do.
We do.
And I was like, that's nuts to me. But no, that to me is really interesting for me in this, is that I know everybody gonna write him off. He's a clown. He's corny. He shouldn't have did this. But I think when you really look at it, at some point, somebody somewhere has to say, yo, Meg is just worth a lot of stress. And is it worth it?
Mm.
Because that's still on the side of a favorable legal outcome. If this legal outcome don't go the way she want, like she ain't selling like that. She's super popular, but we got a Flo Milli right now that's here. We
Glorilla.
Glorilla.
Yeah, the Glow.
That's her name.
Is that how you pronounce it, Glorilla?
I think
I listened to that remix with her and Cardi B. I can't get with that girl's flow or how she raps over top of that track. I hope that's not how all her music sounds. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. But Cardi B went off. And we keep saying that Cardi has no interest in music anymore. But every time Cardi pop up on somebody's phone, Cardi, she talking that talk. I think we gonna get an album.
So that's kind of where I was going. You got Cardi keep popping up. Nicki's outside.
But Nicki get on my nerves.
I'm talking if I'm Meg.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at
the landscape.
The landscape. I got a Beyonce tour that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I got probably a Nicki album has to be coming soon. She's doing something. She's outside way too much to not have an album. She just released another song, I think yesterday. So
I know Lotto's getting ready to drop another album.
And Lotto's album was well received
because it was good.
It was good.
It was really good. I liked that.
City Girls is here.
Yep.
They ain't going nowhere. They're about to go on tour with Jack, which we will be there. We'll be giving y'all some insight. We got like 2 weeks actually.
Barely.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the horizon, and if I'm an organization, is that where I want to keep spending all my resources?
They don't have a choice.
What do you mean they don't have a choice?
Like so many people.
She's basically a free agent now. This last album was supposed to free her of the 1501 deal or 17 whatever.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So if I'm Rock Nation and I'm looking at the landscape, and we're gonna get to the Super Bowl in a minute, and what that might mean for an album coming. If
Rihanna's about to drop an album, what are you talking about?
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but since we're here,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's another person that is in that window. So
no, that's just like it's Rihanna. It's everybody else, Beyonce and Rihanna. Like that's what it is.
You're making my point. So if I'm Rock Nation and I'm projecting, and I see that I might have her coming now that we got her for the Super Bowl.
Which is insane. Which we're gonna talk about.
We're gonna talk to
real quick.
Talk about it. I just think it can get real. Like we see it a lot of time with male artists when they just fall off, and it's just out of sight, out of mind, and then they look like B2K for the next 10 years. We just keep having people pop up talking crazy, trying to stay relevant.
So disrespectful. I don't think Meg is too popular to just fall off like that. I think it would take a series of events, but the very first one would be losing that court case.
She lose that court case
doesn't,
and depending on the information that comes out, it's not only that maybe they can't determine, or maybe if the case gets thrown out, something crazy happened. When we start getting real details and documentation on what happened, and if there are holes, and I was focused specifically on her, if there are holes in her story that are blatantly refuted by fact that she lied on some of these interviews and stuff, she's gonna have a long time.
It's gonna look so bad. At best, especially since they keep pushing it at this point, at best, the prosecution can drop the case. And the judge could throw it out at best. Because then no further information gets out. I'm sure at this point there are
I think when it's thrown out, it's just it becomes public information.
Right, but if
unless
nothing's
there's some kind of gag order, but you're saying no, but they've submitted evidence.
Right, but if the court if it never gets tried, where does the evidence still become
I think
public?
It's the public record. I would imagine somebody can find it. I don't see why it would be like hidden.
That's interesting. Either way, like if she doesn't win, it's just gonna be a long winter and spring for real for Meg, because no music I think it really just depends on how strong her fan base is at this point. You know, the hotties, that's what they call
But the
themselves.
key these with these groups is you can have a huge following.
Mm-hmm.
Does your huge following buy tickets, buy merch, and buy CDs?
But we see that, because if Meg wasn't selling things, we wouldn't see her where she is.
How much Meg would do first week?
I don't know.
That's the point.
No.
How much J. Cole do first week? How much Kendrick do first week? How much Drake do? How much Beyonce do? The hitters, we know what they did first week.
But what I'm saying,
we even know when Jack or Post disappoint first week. You don't know nothing about what Meg did first week. You want to know why?
Because the album. Oh, but no,
because it wasn't that good.
But from what I heard, people really liked it. And
so
that's the thing.
And that's
her
my
fans liked it, and as long as her fans will continue to fill stadiums or wherever
what
she's
stadium
at,
she what tour she's selling
boy,
out?
you know I'm not talking about an actual stadium.
Then you can't say that.
I'm saying as long as she is selling tickets to shows, which she is and was, she gets very good.
What tour Meg did a tour?
I don't think
I keep seeing her be headlined.
She's headlined a bunch of things.
And so people was already at the festival. They ain't buy the ticket just for her.
No, that's not true.
Okay. I'm trying to if everybody toured
like
this
I
summer,
know
why Meg ain't tour?
Bro, I know you don't like Meg's music that much. The same way you didn't really like City Girls music that much. But the way that you saw that crowd ready for, I mean, forget that. You saw the crowd for Meg's set at Coachella. Like, it was just as big as, like, The Weeknd. Like, it was insane.
So you doing that? That's not fair.
I'm not saying it is fair. I'm just
when
saying.
When you perform late, your audience is going to look big either way.
Listen,
I'm not saying she ain't got
I saw people flocking for Meg, okay? Like, running for Meg. I'm not saying that I'm a fan and I'm about to start bumping her music, you know, running my mom errands.
I'm about to make you look funny.
No, I don't want you to make me look funny. What did you find?
Meg released an album in August.
Yeah, I know.
Who else knew?
The whole world.
Who talked about it? Who covered it?
She was on Jimmy Kimmel. She was on.
I'm not talking about the press tour. I told you her publicist is A1. What was the single? It was in August. That was like a month ago. August 12th.
No, we was real busy. We had a lot of stuff. No, I'm not talking about me. No, I know.
You listen to the playlist. What Meg singles been on the playlist you listen to?
Oh, a couple.
Which ones? How they go?
Yeah, I skipped them.
What? I thought it was great music that people love.
I am not a Meg fan.
You just sat here and tried to tell me.
Give me this.
She did 66,000. Meg Da Stallion did 66,000.
Why do you
first week? And that's her first album release, ain't it?
Huh.
How many albums has she released?
This is her second or
so her second album. This is her first album post Tory situation, ain't it?
No.
Which album she released?
I thought the big one. This one. Good News.
What's the song? She got the song with DaBaby right there on the big one. Yeah, that's got a bunch of features. Big Sean, 2 Chainz.
Yeah, this happened
2020. So that must have came out like right after.
Right. And then she rolled this album as hard as she possibly could. And then she dropped a bunch of singles. And then this year she dropped this. I haven't, you know, I'm not a huge fan, so
even the features on there tell me
to go and listen to it.
So my point is this: like, I hear what you're saying. I see all the glitz and the glam. I see the hottie sauce.
It's not the hottie sauce.
I see, you know, all the festival lineups. But I'm pretty in tune with culture. And I don't be hearing this groundswell of the album that came out a month ago. Like, when did Beyonce drop?
The 28th.
Of what?
July.
Oh, so she definitely messed up. Why would she release that soon after Beyonce?
It was like a month. I'm pretty sure that's when Renaissance came out.
I think I do remember her album. I would have to pull it up. We need to research it. Somebody to pull up what dropped the week Meg dropped. Because to do 66 and you ain't dropped with no hitters.
Yeah, but Beyonce released the July 29th.
So yeah, you was a couple weeks clear of her. And even that didn't have crazy sales because we didn't know that was a shock, that Beyonce album, which,
No, it wasn't because I got my box. Like, we knew it was coming.
What we didn't know that.
Oh no, yeah, that's not the album I was.
That was not what we thought was coming.
But I like it,
and that's fine. But again, when we're talking sales, I just don't see it. So the last thing I did want to ask, and man, we ended up going a lot longer than I expected, but I did want to get to relationships, so to speak.
Did you really? I'm joking. Come on.
I was about to say I'm lost. And maybe we could chop this and make this a separate segment because it's kind of separate, but it's tied.
I was gonna say you're gonna tack this on at the end of the episode, and we only got like maybe 10 minutes.
We have as long as we want because we have listeners that love to hear us and run up on us in public, and that's great.
Hey, Kyle, shout out to our good man, Kyle. I was Popeyes, trying to get some sustenance for my family because they didn't feel like cooking. And oh boy, he walked up on me and made me feel like a star for a second because I never met Kyle in person. Obviously, he knows my wonderful husband. But yeah, it was funny. It was really funny. But shout out to Kyle. Thank you so much for your support of this show. Make sure you continue to share with all your family and friends.
Thanks. But yes, we're going to do this. And, if you don't want to listen, you can turn it off at this point. But I feel like there's just such a huge breakdown. When we looked at these situations, we look at Ime's situation and just the lack of respect in telling her, but giving her the proper notice, carrying her along, having some woman planning her trips, allegedly. Like, that's just a lack of respect and communication.
For sure.
We look at the Meg situation, the Baby situation, the Tory Lanez situation. We look at the Tom Brady situation. There's just a bunch of high-profile situations right now that men and women are just, like, missing it. And I'm getting a little concerned. I am I guess I am in his passing a huge Kevin Samuels fan as far as his messaging. Not necessarily the way he could presented it all the time, but the concepts he talked about. And I think they were valuable to create a conversation. But it seems like the conversation wasn't like an edifying, uplifting, unifying conversation. It was like this destructive war mentality of men back to their corners and women have to defend themselves and back to their corners. And then Roe v. versus Wade was getting overturned. And it's like, there's just this fight between men and women. And there's just no respect between the two. I was watching, I don't know what we was watching, but there was like the Side Chick show that they're advertising.
It was like a preview for some reality TV show. Just
like, how did we get to a Side Chick show? We're watching Ime go through a side chick situation. In real life, it's not cool.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Like in real life, side chicks aren't cool. They're not feasible. They're not responsible. They're not respectful. Like it shouldn't be highlighted. Like that, it was one thing to have like OnlyFans and stuff and like get your money that way. But like we're now glorifying this lifestyle that in real life people are dying over. Like,
right.
People still hate getting cheated on. As much as we glorify it in TV shows and music and entertainment, like, that's not real life.
I literally read a story while I was putting Kobe to bed of a guy who walked in, I think it was he got home from work early, one of those typical things, and found his wife in bed with somebody. Like, he shot the wife, the person, and killed them, left him there. And then he took the wife on like this road trip through their lives. And at the end of it, he killed her. And I'm just like, what? Like, and it's just insane. But you hear stuff like that all the time. People men, especially, and I think it makes me really sad that it's happening a lot to men, quiet as it's kept. They are going through situations with, their exes, their baby mamas, whatever you want to call them, and they just get to a point where they snap and they kill everybody, or they kill themselves, or it's just some awful situation that happens because of what seems to be major breakdown in communication in so many different instances.
And I I don't really know where to attribute it to, but I am going to point the finger a bit at social media in this tricking culture.
Tricking culture,
like
the filtered
it ain't
culture.
Tricking if you got no. I'm saying like that lifestyle. Like there was a time when the video vixen or the industry chick or that type of woman was rare-ish. Like there was a couple women that was trying to get to it. Superhead was one. There was a couple others that kind of popped up here and there. But now there's like a whole planet of these types of women that are simply trying to get on. And then there's athletes that are keep getting produced. And it's like there's this contention of, I know you're trying to get me, but I'm trying to get something out of you. But we don't actually love each other. We don't actually care about each other. It's just the filter I see on Instagram makes you physically attractive. And so I want your physical money and I want your physical body. And that's the exchange. And that's just not right.
Who is it? Brittany Renner. Who's the guy she had the baby with?
PJ Washington.
She had the baby with PJ Washington. She went basically on every podcast that would allow her to come on and talk and tell people that she left him because he wasn't willing to be in a serious relationship with her.
Yeah.
And that he wanted to play around and he wanted to do all these different things. So she left him to just give her kid a better life. Fast forward, not even a year later?
If that.
Not even a year later, PJ Washington has another woman pregnant or another kid on the way.
Yep.
And has,
engaged.
asked the woman to marry him. Now, I don't know how wonderful that relationship is, how solid that relationship is. But I do remember PJ Washington all over social media begging that girl to come back to him, that he would be better, that their lives would be great, and she still dipped. But now she's out here bitter, liking posts on Instagram, because he's engaged now. And it's like, well, Shawty, you had your chance.
And I feel like even to a certain extent, strip club culture, I think a lot of that is built in. I got money and I know you own money, so here, take it. But I don't really respect you. I'm just in here to enjoy the show. So here's my money. And I just feel like there's I don't want to be like mushy and romance is gone, or what is the thing that said is dead? Chivalry is dead, and I'm not trying to go all down that path. But I'm starting to get a little concerned, man. Like they talk about it on Joe's podcast all the time, like male R&B music. They're like gangster rappers, but they sing. Like there's no love and affection. I don't know. Maybe that's why the population's going down, because we don't have good R&B no more. Like it's just weird, man. It's really weird. And even talking to certain men, it's like there's just such a disconnect. And it seems like the divide is growing. And yeah, you get some women that understand where men's new voice is coming from, and support that. And then there's some women that's like, forget that. I don't want that. That's not true. That's not being a man and a protector. And then there's men that also agree with the women that are against the Kevin Samuels messaging. So it's like on both sides, it's just confusion.
It's just a whole big muddled mess. Nobody know what they want no more. And even the people who, and I think that's the funny thing, because when you listen to people who are in relationships give advice, even when I think of the advice that's been given to me, it's like, this is the person that you picked. Just keep picking that person. Because if you go out back to the streets and keep trying to pick new people, it's not going to work out the way you think it is. And, obviously, like, that's one, a little depressing, just
Yeah.
just a little bit. But two, it's like you hear what it's like in the dating world now, and like even when you look at people's relationships, like on all levels, people have such a hard time communicating. Again, I think just another thing, another result of the pandemic is really us people, regular people, seeing how poorly we all really communicate with each other.
Facts.
Just across the board.
So I don't know what the solution is. Like I said, I know we had some jokes on some situations, but at the core of it is just a fundamental breakdown in value of one another and respect. And I don't know what that means for the next generation. Obviously, people are still getting married, but people that have been married real long getting divorced, and people that's just getting married getting divorced.
Facts.
It ain't a whole lot of people that's just staying married.
And that's the part, because it's not easy. Obviously, relationships are not easy. It's hard. It's work. Obviously, if you pick the right person, it makes it better. It makes it easier. But realistically, spending your 50 years of your life with one person, no, it's not going to be cake each and every day. But it's got to be something different out here for people that just decide to keep walking away from relationships, or just treating the people who they have relationships with like trash.
And that to me is it. I understand relationships aren't going to always work out.
Another, like, okay, I saw it on Instagram. It's because we've talked about this couple before, Erica Mena and Safari. They are officially divorced. Mm-hmm. And I saw a clip on Instagram, and it actually, and I don't feel too much sympathy for their situation, because, like, if there were two people on reality TV that should have got together, it was them. But it did make my heart hurt for the both of them, and her a lot, but the both of them. They were sitting on couches, like facing each other, like near each other, whatever. And she said something to him, and like I think she asked him a question. And his response to the question was, "Because you look so hurt." And she's like, "Well, I am." He's like, "I've never seen you like this before, this vulnerable, this hurt like this." And she's like, "Well, this is just where I'm at. I loved you. I put up with this for you. Like, I took it. I kept taking it. I kept taking it. But it's like, how much do you think I'm supposed to just keep tolerating from you being a trash person?" And at the end of the day, she was just like, but I'll get over it. But like, listening to her say that, like, I've heard so many women, so many men say, "It's cool though, like, I'll get over it, I'll move on, now on to the next one, blase, blase." But people aren't getting over things. People are holding on to stuff and carrying them into, their next relationship. And then in their next relationship, they're not clearing things up. It's a vicious, vicious, vicious cycle that there are so many people, even people in relationships, stuck in. Mm-hmm. I pray for everybody, child.
And that's, for us, that's a constant prayer of mine, just communication. We haven't always communicated the best. So I do get it. But I think even in our, failed communications at times, there's still a level of respect.
For sure.
Like, I guess you'd call it, say I'm pro-man or misogynist or whatever you want to call it. But like, I have a genuine care for the opposite sex and its well-being in life and its plight through situations. I don't know the correct thing is to say.
If you're talking about women, just say women.
Okay, women.
They are. It's
the same thing.
It's not, but okay. You got it, bro.
Anyway, it's just I don't know who bridges the gap, but we gotta be better. Somebody needs to call a council of some kind. All our favorite relationships we found out was trash.
All our favorite relationships, literally, all our favorite relationships as kids. I mean, Will and Jada, man, like, I don't know if we could have been more wrong.
I was never a Jada fan, but that was supposed to be it. And there's been others. And I think if you peel back the curtain on a lot of those relationships, you realize I don't want any of that.
I don't want none of that.
And it's like, man, so we have no examples, we have no guidance, and then there's no real work ethic. People too busy chasing careers to chase relationships. I think if you ask most people today, where's the value, especially somebody 35 and below? Do you value a successful career, a successful relationship, or would you sacrifice a successful career for a successful relationship? Absolutely not.
I don't think that's necessarily true though, because when I look at the people on my timeline, or even when
and what that takes to have a successful relationship, you're going to sacrifice.
No, a lot of people want both now.
Yeah, you can't have both.
Look, yeah,
and a lot of times you can't.
You can't. It's just what that success looks like is different. Everybody has an idea
that will be made.
But that's the thing. A lot of people have this idea of what a successful relationship looks like. But a successful relationship looks different for each and every single couple that's in a relationship.
Yeah, but there are some core things that should exist.
Yeah, for sure. But even within those core things, it looks different.
I agree. So I'm saying, you're making my point. You're saying there's a bunch of different people with a bunch of different wants and needs. That means it's super hard. So now I'm going to potentially sacrifice my budding career to take this super hard relationship when everything on society and TV and my family and every example I've ever seen tell me that's the wrong decision, because I'm going to end up getting played or end up wasting my time or end up holding a bag, and then I lost out on the opportunity to pursue a career. Heck no, I'm going to pursue a career. But now I'm jaded, or
no, I'm jaded.
Or I'm not willing to fully commit to the relationships I'm having come, because I know at some point it could cost me, especially if you're a woman, because pregnancy derails most every career you could put.
Man, we ain't even gonna go there. You know, I'll
it
be
is
back
a
to work
business
whenever
decision.
I go back to work,
which is great for you, but there's a whole bunch of women that say no.
Yeah,
I don't want to risk losing my career. Cardi is unique that she plunged at that moment before she had really, really blown.
I'm trying to tell you, she was so tired and pregnant and just on that stage.
But she made it do. Her talent rose to the top. But it's just a lot. So I just encourage people, man. Like,
I just encourage people. We do though. I think we do a good job of trying to encourage people. Like,
yeah, but I don't know if we do it on here.
Oh, well, no.
We cover all the salacious stuff, but at the heart, like, I do want people to, like,
be
stop
better.
Getting divorced. And we covered a bunch of the Kim and all that, and we'll get to that. We got something special for that, but I guess I'm getting older, and I'm definitely seeing a lot of these people got kids.
Yeah.
And then I start thinking of, like, the kid situation. When your kids are in those kind of circles, I'm sure Nia's kid right now is probably not having the best time.
Oh no, it's awful.
Like, there's kids involved in a lot of these situations, and that's the part that really, I guess, humanizes even the celebrity part. Because a lot of times I'm like, oh, y'all rich, y'all be fine. But this Kim and Kanye thing with all them kids, man, I will be very curious to see, depending on how they go. I know how invested they are in their kids' future, but there's no way you can be around that much drama at that young of an age and not have impact. And all these other stories, Tom Brady's kids is probably going through it right now. And dad isn't looking the best on the football field. Yeah, mom don't be super happy at home. And she's
not even home. She moved out.
Well, she's whatever home is home for her. And that is the part. And this is not a sports pod, and I will wrap after this. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. He has won me over as a winner. I support him. He should have won MVP last year and all that. But I said it on my last show, and I'll probably say it tomorrow. He need to quit.
He need to quit.
It's not worth it. Like, with the potential damage it'll do to his family life long term. Oh no, this season ain't it.
Yeah.
Bunch of receivers is out. You look older. It's just, and I can't tell him because I can't get in his body. That drive is what led him to win me over. So I get it. But you got your faculties, you got deals lined up, you got a bunch of stuff. You don't need the money. I would encourage him. Talk about communication. There's clearly been a breakdown in their communication.
Huge breakdown.
Somebody, I hope his dad, I know he's family related. Somebody got to tell him, bro. I know you promised these people. Some people came back to play with you. All that. It ain't worth it. And I really hope they make it through this because it's tough. It's tough to watch.
It's gonna be a long season for Tom.
It's been a long season. I think it'll continue to be one, but I'm rooting for you. Hopefully they can figure it out. But I think she's probably at a point. I can't even believe this is the last time. You probably told me that 3 times.
Yeah.
He's 45. Like, you know how many seasons?
One more season, baby. Just one more. I think I can do it one more time.
So yeah, man, that's really my 2 cents on it. But we say it and it rings true in our lives and in y'all's in life. You know, you got the power to choose, and you got to choose wisely in these relationships. You got to choose who you are in a relationship. You got to choose what you're willing to deal with, but make the wise decision. And sometimes it's going to come with sacrifice. Everything can't be about you winning.
Oh, really now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacrifice mad times. We don't need to get into it on here, but mad sacrifices on both sides here. But that's what it takes. But I don't think that's what's taught. What's taught is get what you can out of whoever you can get it so that you will live a great life. And that's wrong. The more you give, the more everybody wins, the more everybody's happy. And so hopefully we get to that point. But always bet on you and bet on us because we're going to be great. And we got some more great stuff coming for you here shortly. If you've been blessed by us, you know what to do. Go ahead and do that. Take care. Have a great one.